Morning, my dear students. How are you? I hope you are safe and fine, right? So today we are going to start a new topic, and the name of our topic is flexibility. Now, before we are going to start this topic, flexibility, first we need to understand the meaning of flexibility. What exactly this flexibility word means. So, see, when let's take some examples to understand this concept. When let's suppose you are a new boy in a school, things are not flexible according to your comfort zone. Because it's a new school, new teachers, new friends, everything is new. From the scratch, right? The tables are new, the bag, sometimes the books are new, the course is new, everything is new, right? What we'll do, we'll make ourselves flexible to make new friends. We'll make ourselves flexible to sit for hours in the classroom. We'll make ourselves flexible to use the school washroom, the school ground, the school football, everything. We accommodate with the teachers. We adjust with the friends, right? So that is somehow we call it flexibility in some terms, in some aspect. But now the next thing that we're going to, I'm going to think is about what exactly this flexibility is. So flexibility is something when your muscles are able to stretch in the maximum range. When your joints are moving in the maximum range, right? So let's say if I am doing like this, right? This is my hand and I am going down. Then I come back. Okay, so what is it? It is also kind of flexibility, right? So flexibility, we can take an example. You must have seen that some of the people, they have a good amount of flexibility. Whenever you see them, some of them, or in the television, we must be seen that they are when they are climbing on the mountains or do some work in a very fast manner, right? So they do not get this mulch and everything on the leg or hand, and their muscles are totally elastic. You must have seen some people who have a good flexibility. They can perform a lot of difficult asanas in a very easy manner. So what is this? Why these people, the students, are able to perform all these things very nicely? What's the real reason behind this? So the main reason behind all these things are flexibility. Got it, my students, what I'm saying about? So today's topic that we are going to discover, that we are going to learn the more about, that is our flexibility. What's the name of our topic? The name of our topic is flexibility. So let's come to the question of physical education. Flexibility, our first topic. Flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range, right? It is the flexibility of a joint of an individual to move in a maximum range. It is also called, in other words, we can say it is the range of our joints to move in the range of the movements of the joints to move in, high range or in the maximum range, right? Now, what is the importance of this flexibility? If your muscles are able, if your muscles are stretchable, there is a huge amount of elasticity in that. So what is the important? Why it is so good? See, when there is a flexibility in your, flexibility comes in your body, right? So let us learn from each and every part of the body, right? So the stiffness in the body will remove first, right? The internal organ will start to work properly. And whenever we do this asanas, this flexible, to make our body flexible, so it will do the internal massage of the organs. So when this internal massage of the organ going on, getting my point? So it is the best way to do the physiotherapy or psycho. It also gives you the psychotherapy, right? How? See, a healthy body has a good soul and has a good mind and heart and everything. So until and unless an individual possesses a good body, he or she can't prosper, right? So what I'm telling you, that flexibility brings elasticity in your body, it brings activeness in your body, it brings alertness in your body, it brings freshness in the body, it brings the kind of healthiness, like proper functioning of lungs, proper functioning of your muscles, your leg muscles, your hand muscles, your thigh region muscles, right? It do the right? So what we called it? We called it just it prevent ligament injury, prevent lot of disease or illness or some problems related with the muscles. So this flexibility is a very important component that we need to build up. One should go for the build up of this flexibility. So what is flexibility? Flexibility is the ability of our muscles to overcome what overcome, not to overcome flexibility. That was I was talking about endurance and strength. Flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range. Got it? It is, in other words, we can say that flexibility is the range of joints to move in maximum direction, right? So flexibility is specific to the joints. See, there are some, let's say, this is what I am doing, flexion. This is when, see the angle, it is, let us take this is 180 degree angle, right? This is 180 degree angle, okay? You can take example, this is 180 degree angle. Now what I wrote here, I just tell you that flexibility depends on the body. Flexibility is specific with joints, right? So let us take this is 180 degree. Now it less, the angle become half, that is 90 degree. So this is called flexion. And when I again take my hand there, it is called extension. Okay? So flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Got it? Now another example I am giving you. See, if I am making my leg here like this. Okay? So this is 90 degree, right? So 90 degree I put it down. So when I put it down, it becomes the angle decrease. So whenever this angle decrease called flexion, when the angle increase, it is called extension. So I was just telling you that it is specific to joint. I can make my hand like this, but in the same direction I cannot make it, you know, like this. There are some specificity in the joints, and we'll have to work accordingly. So flexibility depends on joint. It is specific to the joint. It depends on the muscles structure. Which kind of muscles are there? Ligaments, tendons, etc. Right? So flexibility is something which varies from joint to joint due to its structure. It joins ligament, tendons, muscle, right? So what exactly is flexibility depends on. See, flexibility depends on the muscle structure. See, as you all guys know that there are three types of person: endomorphic, mesomorphic, and ectomorphic. Endomorphic, it means a bulky person. Ectomorphic, it means, you know, a thin person. Mesomorphic, it means a normal body BMI person, right? So see, what we need to understand the concept to understand is that the flexibility is basically more if we talk about a physiological factor, girls has good flexibility as compared to boys. Okay, now let's see what are the factors on which this flexibility depends. Flexibility depends upon the joint articulation, elasticity of muscles, right? So what I am going to tell you that flexibility is the ability of our muscles to move in a maximum range. It's the ability of a joint to move in the maximum range. Got it what I am saying? So this flexibility is basically depends upon the structure, the adjoining ligaments, tendons, muscles, and it is measured by flexometer. Right? What it is measured by? It is measured by flexometer. Please students keep in mind, because earlier I also mentioned you that strength is measured by dynamometer, endurance is measured by distance running, time taking, you know, the high duration time or the long duration time activities, right? So you must keep these things in your mind. You must have seen the previous videos. You please keep these things in mind, right? So flexometer, what this flexibility is measured by the flexometer. So now let's start here over recapitulate what is started. We started with flexibility. So flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in a maximum range, or it's a range of our joints to move in a maximum range, right? Way. Flexibility is specific to joint. That's I'm giving you example of extension and flexion. It depends on the structure of joint. Flexibility is varies from joint to joint, individual to individual, right? It varies from person to person. It depends on the structure. It depends on the adjoining joints. It depends on the ligament. It depends on the, you know, the muscles and the diet of a person also. Now it is measured through flexometer. It is measured through flexometer. Now let us come, we are going to study about what are the types of flexibility and what are the subtypes of flexibility, right? Students, first is flexibility. So what is flexibility? You all know, where I just now I told you, flexibility is the ability of a muscles to move in the maximum range, to move in the maximum range, right? It is of two types, passive flexibility and active flexibility. What is this passive flexibility? What is this active flexibility? So you need to keep a concept in your mind. Passive. If I am telling you someone is very passive, so he always need help from someone. Passive means हर वो ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटीज उनको दूसरे की जरूरत लग रही है, right? We need the help of the external partner, right? So passive activities वो सारी एक्टिविटी होती हैं जिसमें हम किसी की हेल्प लेते हैं, right? So passive flexibility are those activities or those exercise in which we need one partner with us to help us out. Right? What is active flexibility? So active flexibility is that kind of flexibility in which we need not any kind of partner, any kind of helper, etc. A person itself so much active, he is able to perform that exercise itself. So if you are able to perform some exercise by your own without the help of any other, okay, then let's say if I am going to perform a chakrasana, if I am going to perform some adrasana, so I am able to perform that. I have the potential to perform, so I need not anyone to perform, right? So what exactly I want to say, this passive flexibility and this active flexibility, these are the two types of flexibility. Active flexibility is of two types, static flexibility and dynamic flexibility, right? Let's talk about passive flexibility. Passive flexibility is a kind of flexibility in which an organism, an individual, a person with passive flexibility needs to helper, needs a partner with him to do some stretching exercise or some kind of exercise, right? So what is this passive flexibility? What are the example of this passive flexibility, right? So the example of this passive flexibility is, if you are doing some stretching exercise with your partner, it is the example of this passive flexibility. Now what is this active flexibility? So when I am talking about this active flexibility, so active flexibility is totally related with the person is totally active. He can perform his work. He can do anything its own. Got it? So passive flexibility, active flexibility. Active flexibility is of two types, static flexibility and dynamic flexibility. What is this static flexibility? Static flexibility means the things which is in rest. The meaning of static, if you are a science student, you must have understand that the meaning of static is the things which is in rest, we call it static. So whenever the thing is in rest, we call it static. So static flexibility, you are supposed to perform some particular exercise from a particular place. At a rest, when you are in rest and you are performing some exercise, right? Let's say I am on a single pace, I am doing this, I am doing that, I am doing that. I am doing anything on my single position. This is called the static flexibility. Now let us take some example like chakrasana, like toe touch, like side bending, like being alternate toe touch, etc. So whatever the exercise you are performing from a single pace are called static flexibility. Now what is this dynamic flexibility? So this dynamic flexibility is something, the meaning of dynamic is motion, movement, dynamic is motion or movement, right? So dynamic flexibility is related to the motion, it is related to the movement, motion. So when a person is doing some exercise, whenever his body or her body is in motion, let's say if I am starting like this and jumping jacks, right? Or if I am doing walking lunges, so these exercises enhance my flexibility and it also need some kind of development of flexibility. So I hope you understand this topic. What I was talking about, we were talking about flexibility. The flexibility is the ability of a joints to move in the maximum range. It depends on person to person. It is joint specific. It depends on the structure, adjoining ligaments, tendons, muscles, and whole lot of things. Got it? Next thing that we need to keep in mind is flexibility are two types: passive flexibility and active flexibility. Now, what is this passive flexibility? So, passive flexibility is that kind of flexibility when an individual need a helper with him, an individual need a partner with him, right? So this basic flexibility means you need the stretching of a partner. So if you're needing stretching with the partner, it is called the basic flexibility, right? And when are you performing active flexibility? So there is no need for the helper, there is no need for the partner to help you while performing some exercise. It is totally an individual can perform. The state is of two types, static and dynamic. In static flexibility, a person is perform only different kinds of activity in a single place, like chakrasana, totas, etc. When I am talking about dynamic flexibility, it is the type of flexibility in which an organism performs various kinds of activities from different positions when the body is in motion or a movement. Now, what are the things on which this flexibility depends? So, flexibility basically depends on age of a person, right? It depends on the age of the person. It differs from person to person, right? So, it depends on the age. Let's say the little babies, the person or the students or an individual who is from birth to around, I think I would say 15 to 12 years, 16 years, they are much flexible than us or than the people who are around 30 to 40, 60 something, right? So age is one of the most important factor. Next is gender. As I told you that girls are more flexible than boys. Warming up. See, warm up, it means to raise down the body temperature up to some extent so that you can lead the blood circulation will improve and the body is physically as well as mentally ready to perform some particular kind of exercise, right? So, what is this? Warming up, general raise of the body temperature, right? So, this warming up is also very important part. It leads some, enhance the temperature of the body so that you can perform something properly. Next is heredity. What is heredity? So flexibility also depends on heredity. What is heredity? It is the transfer of character. It is a recombination and transcription of DNA from parents to the child, right? So what is this heredity? Heredity is something that is the transfer of gene, the transfer of DNA from mother and father to the child. Okay. So it is also depends on that. Joint articulation. How is the joint articulation? How the muscle stretching? Ligament elasticity, what is the elasticity of the muscles? Muscular stretchability, what is how stretchable the muscles are? It depends on the work you are doing. And what next is disease and injury. It might be depend on that. So flexibility I have it clear. Flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range, which depends on structure, ligament, tendon, muscles, etc. It is joint specific and it is of two types, spatio flexibility and active flexibility. Active flexibility are of two types, static flexibility and dynamic flexibility, right? I hope you understand this concept. Now we're going to learn about in detail what is exactly the basic flexibility, what is exactly this active flexibility, what is static and what is dynamic flexibility, and we will also going to learn about what are the psychological, not the psychological, it's physiological. It is a general mistake done by students. PHY is physiological, PSY that is psychological, right? So that's why I pronounce it wrong so that you can keep in your mind that psychological and physiological changes are different. Psychological is totally related to the mind, thought process, etc. And when I'm talking about this physiological changes, it is related with the physical structure of the body. So let's come and learn in detail the types of flexibility. So the very first type of flexibility is spatio flexibility. What is the spatio flexibility? So spatio flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range with external help. Note down this point. External help. So spatio flexibility is that flexibility which is performed the ability of our muscles to move in the maximum range with the external help. So let's say if you are doing some exercise with the help of partner, okay, you are stretching your body, you are doing some muscle stretching with the help of partner. So this will be the best example of spatio flexibility. So what is spatio flexibility? Spatio flexibility is that kind of flexibility in which an organism is performing some kind of exercise, some flexible, making a body flexible exercise, which lead to the help of external person. So when someone is doing, help of yours, so that is the passive flexibility. A person is passive, he need help someone to do that exercise, right? Next is active flexibility. So as I told you that active flexibility is that kind of flexibility when a person is totally active. He or she can perform his own work. So there is no need of any external help here, right? So basic is done. Active flexibility is that kind of activity in which an individual is perform different kinds of exercise to enhance the flexibility without help of external. There is no external help, right? Mark this point. There is no external help. So what is active flexibility? Active flexibility is the kind of flexibility in which an organism performs various kind of activities without external help. It is of two types. So what are the types of this? So let's say if I wrote here passive flexibility, second is active flexibility. There are two types of active flexibility. First is static and second is dynamic. Right? So this is the exact chart that you need to keep in your mind. So passive flexibility is that kind of flexibility in which there is a need of external for the help, for the stretching and exercise, etc. Active flexibility is that flexibility when there is no need of external help. There is no need for the partner. There are two types of flexibility: static flexibility and dynamic flexibility. Now the point comes of static. The meaning of static means things which is in rest. So when the things are in rest, it means all the if we talk about the exact definition of static flexibility is that kind of flexibility when an individual performs different kinds of exercise at a single position because static means rest. Mark this point. So when you are performing different various kind of exercise from a single position, when you are stable at a position and you are doing some stretching, you are performing some asanas, this is the part of the single position, that is the static flexibility. Alright, now next is dynamic flexibility. So dynamic flexibility is related to the motion. Dynamic flexibility is related to the motion because the word dynamic itself means motion or movement, right? So flexible, all this kind of activities, it is a dynamic flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range when the body is in motion, right? So let us take the exact definition of everything. Flexibility is the ability of joint to move in maximum range. Passive flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range with the help of external. Active flexibility is that kind of flexibility to move a body to maximum range, to move a joint to the maximum range without the help of an external. There are two types of flexibility on the basis of position of an organism of an individual: static flexibility and dynamic flexibility. What is this static flexibility? Static flexibility means this is the kind of flexibility in which an individual is on a single place, in a single position, perform different various kinds of activity. What is dynamic flexibility? Dynamic flexibility is that kind of flexibility in which an organism performs various kinds of exercise when the body is in motion, when an individual performs some action and when an individual is in motion. Got it? So this flexibility can be measured by flexometer, as you all know, right? Now what we are going to learn? Now we will going to learn about the psychological, not psychological, it's physiological, right? So physiological factors which affect or which determine the flexibility of an individual. What is this physiological factors? See, first is joint articulation, right? So for that I just wanted chalk to explain well. Joint articulation. The very first point is joint articulation. What is this joint articulation? Joints are attached with muscles, ligament, tendon, cartilage, right? See, what is cartilage? If I want you to, if I asking you what is cartilage, so one answer will give. Don't know? I think at least you should know what is the meaning of cartilage. Is there any cartilage there in your body? No? Very good. This is the cartilage, right? In ear we have cartilage, very flexible. No? So this is cartilage, right? So this joint articulation, what I am saying, joints are attached to muscles, ligaments, tendons, cartilage that make the joint more strong and flexible. So what should be there? The joint articulation should have enough amount, should properly attach to the ligaments, cartilage, etc. The muscle, the stretchability, that combination, that proper diet should be there, so that the flexibility of the joint can increase, so that the joint or the articulation with that particular joint will be more flexible and will be more strong. Right? So I hope you understand the concept of this joint articulation. So if the joint articulation is good, definitely the flexibility of the particular joint will be very good. Got it? Next point is ligament elasticity. What is this? Ligament elasticity. Okay, so ligament elasticity. Ligaments is generally connected to two or more than two bones. And it makes, see, the more elastic the joint, the greater the flexibility, right? So what is very important here is ligament elasticity. The ligament should be very much elastic, right? So see, if your ligaments are very elastic, then the greater, what I'm saying, the greater the elasticity of the joints, the elasticity of the ligaments, the more the muscles are flexible. Right? So the point we need to keep here, why I am gonna, I don't want to go for, if someone of you are saying, we don't want to go for any competition, why we make our muscles and everything very flexible. See, the point comes here is it only for the competitors to make the body fit? Is it only for the competitor to make body flexible, to make joint flexible? No, it is not like that. What is the thing we need to keep in mind? A healthier and happier body, right? So see, if your physiological functioning is good, then your mental temperament will be good, right? So it is very important. See, when your body is flexible, the joint articulation is good, you will not feel pain in the body. The functioning of your internal organs will be good. The lungs muscle will stretch, the capacity of your lungs will increase. There will be the internal massage of your stomach, there will be the internal massage of pancreas, internal massage of heart, everything. So this is very important to be more flexible. See, the muscles of your body, the leg muscle, the thigh muscle, the orthopedic problems, especially I am talking about the orthopedic problems. These problems will definitely be solved if your muscles, if your body is flexible. So to be more flexible, to have a great amount of flexibility in the body is very important. Got it? So the point is ligament elasticity. I hope you understood. Ligaments can connect to two or more joints. So this, the greater the elasticity, the more the flexibility of the body. Next is muscles stretchability. See, stretching exercise one should perform on a regular basis. So there are two things to keep in mind, that is warming up, and the second one is cooling down, right? Cooling down. What is warming up and what is cooling down? Anybody knows? Warming up is general raising of the body temperature up to certain extent, so that the body should be physically as well as mentally ready for playing any activity. It is done before a game. Cooling down after completing the game, the body is having sufficient heat. So when we cool down the body comes, the temperature of the body comes to the normal extent, which leads an individual to have a relaxed body, to have a cool body, right? So I hope you understand the concept of warming up and the concept of cooling down. Got it, students? Now see, next point that I am going to congratulate you guys is muscle stretchability. So what is the stretchability? See, sometimes if you fall down or there is a slip somewhere, so see, there is this muscle will be stretched. Sometimes there is a wear and tear of ligaments, right? Which is not at all good. So to avoid this wear and tear of this ligament, your muscle should be very much stretchable. The higher the muscle stretchability, the more the range of joints will increase, right? So if I am telling you that if I am doing this exercise, right? So right from here, if I am doing my exercise and I am going back, somehow the stretchability of minds is good. Okay, so what is it I'm going to tell you about? The muscle stretchability should be very nice, so that you can lead a happier, the prosperous, the harmonious life. Got it? Next point is disease, illness. Definitely the disease, the illness kind of things will definitely determine the health of an individual, the flexibility of an individual. You see, if someone has arthritis, so he do not have that kind of flexibility as a normal person can. If someone has some deficiency of nutrients, if someone has some accidental case, something else, so the flexibility will not be that much. Age factor, so flexibility differ from age to age. If you see the early babies, the baby childhood period, later childhood, okay, earlier childhood, later childhood, up to adolescent stage, the flexibility will be great, right? As in when if you stop working for your muscles, yoga, asanas is different thing, your muscles will stiffness come in the body. So if you perform some regular exercise, the muscle will not be stiff, it will be more flexible. So gender difference, I earlier told you that women are more flexible as compared to men. Right? Next is heredity. Definitely heredity is the most important component we need to think upon. It's a great point to be. Let's see, we are human being, and due to reproduction, the regeneration, that is the reproduction is the process, it's a biological process by which organism produce their young ones, right? And while it is producing this young one, there is a recombination, there is a something that is called the recombination and replication of DNA, right? Taken place, and then DNA is copied into the child. So the character of both mother as well as father is in the baby, right? Next point that I am going to tell you is about what are the training methods of this flexibility. So as I told you that there are two kinds of flexibility, active flexibility and passive flexibility. So there are different things for the training methods. Active and we have different, and we have passive for different, right? So active flexibility is the kind of flexibility, it is a method of flexibility in which there are two things, static and dynamic. So if you want to prepare yourself to improve your active flexibility, it means to perform different kind of exercise in a body at a particular place. So you must have to perform some exercise at a single place, right? Next is ballistic method. So if it is a part of active flexibility, ballistic method is a kind of method when an individual performs some exercise when the body is in motion. Okay. Next is passive flexibility. So passive flexibility, there's some people generally stretch the muscles and etc. This is the part of this passive flexibility. I hope you understand the topic. Let's recapitulate what it started. So we had started with this types of flexibility. What are the types of flexibility? The first one is passive flexibility. Second is the active flexibility. Passive flexibility is the kind of ability of a joint to move with a maximum range with the help of external. While if you talk about the active flexibility, so it's a kind of flexibility in which the body do not require, the individual do not require any external help. It is of two types, static flexibility and dynamic flexibility. When we are talking about static flexibility, it is the flexibility of our joints to move in maximum range from the same location, because the word static means single. Dynamic flexibility is the ability of the muscles to move in maximum range when the body is in motion, because the word dynamic itself is motion. What are the physiological factors on which this flexibility depends? So flexibility basically depends on joints, how the body's elasticity of ligaments, muscle stretchability, which depends on disease or accident or something else, illness, age factor, gender, heredity. Then I told you about the training methods. What are the training methods for active flexibility and what is the training method for passive flexibility? So if we talk about the active flexibility, performing various kind of activities, there is some asanas and ballistic when the body is in motion. Passive training method is something when the people helped by someone to perform some particular exercise. So this is what about this flexibility, types of flexibility and various ways to enhance the flexibility of an individual. So I hope you understand the various kinds with different concepts here, that is the flexibility, types of flexibility, physiological factors determining flexibility, and the different training methods for the flexibility. So students, now I'm going to tell you practically how to maintain the flexibility, right? How to improve the flexibility of an individual, right? So let's start. Let's say if I'm sitting on my yoga mat, I expanded my legs, and if I'm going here, I come back, I'm going again here, I come back. Now you see, I am able to touch my head here. So this is what? Stretchability of muscles. It is what? The elasticity of muscles, right? I hope you understand. Now let's come here and do. So which muscles are affected by it? There are different muscles. So the muscles like this calf muscles, hamstring, quadricep. These three muscles are engaged, right? Now I am going to perform Padmasana. This I have performed. So what it shows? It shows that there is a flexibility of this knee, the joints, this ligament, tendons of this joint. That is a knee joint, right? So let's come back. So what I taught you today, I taught you about the different kinds of flexibility, right? That is, what is flexibility? Flexibility is the ability of our joints to move in maximum range. Okay, so there are different methods for improving the flexibility. First, if I told you, that is active flexibility. So active flexibility is that flexibility when an individual is able to perform all the exercise by itself. There is no need for an external. So if let's say if I am performing Chakrasana, you see, if I am performing Chakrasana, I come back, right? So if I am performing Chakrasana, I am doing all the things by me. I need not any external. So it is the part of active flexibility. Now active flexibility is of two types. That is static and dynamic. Static means a person is on a single place. But if I am talking about the dynamic flexibility, it is a flexibility in which a person is moving from one place to another. So if I am doing walking lunges, or if I am doing some things, this will be coming to the part of dynamic flexibility, right? So this is what about the dynamic flexibility exactly. Now the next is passive flexibility. So to perform passive flexibility, I need one external. See, I am sleeping now. Now I need one external, and I have one external with me, and he will be stretching me. See, he is stretching me. Hold. So here, wait sir, wait. So it is passive flexibility, and I need the help of an external to do it. Thank you, sir. I slowly, gently come back. I change and I come. Right? So, what is passive flexibility? When you need help of an external. I hope you understand the concept properly. Thank you.